90% of the time, or better, we lose. It's very rare that you win in gymnastics, and that's one of the most unusual things about this sport.
Looks good.
We spend more time failing on skills than we do being successful.
Let's do front uprise pirouette, Bavzar to pelt, double front half up as a last half. Let's start with that. What's the key? Key is repetition, right? Repetition. Ay, 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 ay.
I think I might have just broken my foot. I can't tell. I just smacked it really hard on the P-bars.
Can I see it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like right here. It's only been a couple minutes, but it feels like exactly like when I did it in high school. The same exact bone right there. Yeah, just the base of the fifth metatarsal.
So it might be phalange over here.
And you said you hit the bar?
Like right here, like right on the top. So it's like pretty solid right here. Or like it was over this way, so there was not a lot of give.
Is it your right or left?
Right. Same exact one.
Might be bruised, yes. Let's hope for the best.
The amount of failure that gymnasts do, if you were to do that in any other sport, you'd be on the bench.
He's about 3, and he had so much energy, and honestly, you couldn't contain him. As he got a little older, I think his focus started, getting a lot better. I think gymnastics actually helped him in that way to get, his mind and his, energy focused into that one apparatus or event or skill.
He was always flying. I mean, from sofa to sofa, he was always in the air.
He's had big nights in the Big Ten, NCAA, but this could be the night at this level for Shane Wiskus. You saw where he was after the third rotation. He is making a statement here in Kansas City.
He's got a lot to get through here. Some big releases, very risky, and oh my God, caught with one arm. That was not intentional. Able to hold on, do another one right here. He gets that second hand on the bar so late. Wow.
In that particular moment, I thought, please hang on, stay alive, because the way he did it, it was extremely dangerous. In that moment, I was just thinking about his safety, that's all. And when after everything happened and he recovered it very nicely and finished the routine, no matter what score, I don't care about a score. It was a tremendous showing physical ability. I call it in that moment, he's unstoppable. It doesn't matter what is going to happen. He's going to finish the routine. He's going to make it happen. And I love that Shane. I love that Shane. When he competes like that, he is a machine.
This is actually good for videotape too. Okay, so basically, like the biggest problem with like your grips is like towards the end of the set, they start sliding up your wrist. And the way a grip works is it puts the tension on your wrist instead of on your like fingers, so it's not grip strength. The bar like sits right here, so it pulls on your wrist, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But then if this slides all the way up, like if it's like up here, then more of the weight is put on your fingertips.
Okay.
So like if you're at the end of a routine, usually your grips find a way to like kind of slide up as like, because it's pulling on this. It's like pulling it up. And I just put this here so that it locks down behind like the...
That is really smart.
So then it never really goes past like that. So I have a good grip at the end of the routine.
This is the story of Shane Wiskus, his journey to the Olympics, and the fight to keep his sport alive.
Yes! Woo!
I first met Shane in middle school when he started training at my gym. He already was considered one of the best gymnasts in Minnesota for his age. His talent and work ethic was a model for many of us teammates. Later in middle school, I suffered an injury on high bar during a competition in Chicago. My grip slid too high up on my wrist, causing the leather to wrap around itself and stop moving in what is called grip lock. I was still swinging around the bar, however, breaking my radius and ulna in my arm. Honestly, it didn't really hurt that much when it happened. I had so much adrenaline already from being in competition, it was just weird. The doctors were able to stretch my arm out, put it back together, and I was good as new. As gymnasts, we are always aware of these dangers. The margin of error is so slim. That's why there's such great focus on preparation of the body and equipment. We learn from a young age to respect the laws of physics. Before attempting any new skill, you first learn how to fall out of the skill. High bar is a particularly dangerous event because of these laws of physics. You've got gravitational potential energy from flying high above an 8-foot metal bar, elastic potential energy from the flexing of the 1-inch steel bar, and angular momentum from the fast rotation of flipping. It takes tremendous strength and coordination to balance these laws of physics and complete a skill. When something goes wrong, however, these laws are unforgiving. When Shane caught with just one arm, all of those forces that normally are distributed equally were transferred just to one hand. He flips at 540 degrees per second. That's 1.5 flips every second. This rotational energy, along with the free fall 6 feet from the apex of his flight, creates nearly 7 Gs, that's 7 times his body weight, all on one arm. If you were to fall right here, it's called peeling off and creates a pinging sound due to the bar snapping back at its greatest elastic potential. When peeling off, you usually don't land on your feet. If you're lucky, you'll land on your back and get the wind knocked out of you. If you're not, you could land on your neck. After my accident and I fully recovered, I got back up on the high bar and kept swinging. I competed for a few more years until growing too tall meant it was time for me to give it up. However, I stayed connected, filming Shane just for fun.
Gymnasts, when they start nowadays at 5, 6, 7, they basically train year-round till they're 18.
My original coach started selecting a group of kids from the kindergarten. And I was one of them who's been selected and invited to train in my hometown, Voronezh city, Russia. My first meeting with Shane was in 2005 or 2006. I was a judge on the floor. When you're watching and judging the floor, you automatically, your hand is writing down deductions and all requirements, and you're following. You're not looking at the paper. So at the end of his routine, I found out, oh, wait a minute, my hand even didn't move that often. And I found only 2 marks over there. All requirements done and 2 marks. I was like, whoa, this guy's really, really good.
The whole time that he was learning his skills, I was looking ahead at what we're going to be doing. So it was not only him progressing, but it forced me to progress myself as a coach as well. You know, I had to stay one step ahead of him, which was not easy because Shane progressed very quickly.
I think he was a senior in high school maybe. We had a competition here and he was in the event finals and he nailed it and he stuck his dismount and it was like, wow. You know, and I wasn't the only college coach going, wow. You know, everybody in the country's going, wow.
He clearly was going to be great as he got later into the high school years, and I'm like, man, it would be great if he went to Minnesota, and sure enough he did, which I thought was awesome because he could have gone anywhere he wanted to. I think being part of a college team, being part of that family, for me at the University of Minnesota, it was incredible.
The University of Minnesota has never won a national championship in gymnastics, and yet the Golden Gophers are now ranked #1.
John has been hot during this entire competition. His dismount's a full twisting, double backflip. That's a great dismount. Boy, this team is really on a roll.
In 1969, there were 230 men's collegiate gymnastics teams in the U.S. This number has consistently declined over the past 50 years to just 15 teams remaining in early 2020.
I look forward to my senior year. It's crazy. It's already here. And, you know, when you come in as a freshman, people tell you, you know, your 4 years go by so fast. And, you know, now I'm here. I'm at senior year. I have 1 season left to prove myself and to, you know, represent the M. And I think I'm most excited about that and competing my last season as a Gopher, because I have, hopefully if my body holds up, then I'll be able to continue my USA journey. Looking back, you know, I had championships, which was insane, pushing me to the next level. It put me on national team, put me in world team contention. I went to Worlds. I performed well there. I went to Winter Cup, got second in the all-around, and then everything kind of shut down.
Breaking news tonight, millions of Americans ordered to shelter in place as the coronavirus pandemic spreads.
The rapidly spreading coronavirus pandemic shut down Shane's gym, the NCAA canceled all college sports, and the Tokyo Olympics were postponed, all within a matter of a few weeks.
I think for gymnastics, it's extremely uncertain what is going to happen. There's a lot of issues with NCAA and funding, and they took a huge hit this year with losing the Final Four and not getting to have that. You know, there's a lot of money problems. So you look at programs like us, you know, one of their first thoughts is, should we cut this program?
Sometimes I wonder if you see me. How do I know that you can hear me? Do you see me?
Breaking news out of the University of Minnesota tonight as we learn it's cutting men's gymnastics, tennis, and track and field.
No, I wasn't told beforehand. In fact, nobody was. No one knew that it was happening. No one was consulted. No one was explained to. It was just on that Zoom call, hey, we're cutting these sports.
In the face of potentially losing 4 successful men's athletic teams, Gopher student athletes, led by women, spoke up.
This community, though, behind me, marched across campus, hoping to change people's minds and possibly reverse course.
You don't want this to happen to any program, and every other program is like, yeah, we don't want this to happen to our team, and we also don't want this to happen to our Minnesota family, so we're here to support each other. And that's been really huge, just to see the whole community pull together as one.
Athletes from all over the world, athletes of color, just coming from all over just to compete at a Division I school in the United States, where almost the best competition in the world is.
All these students want is for the Board of Regents to consider an alternative.
They need to rethink it because it's going to impact so many.
If this ends up being our last season, and this is the last thing that we're fighting for, and we're putting Minnesota on our chest one more time at home at the PAV, that would be an incredible meet that I think there's not a single one of us on the team right now that isn't willing to put everything out on the line for this last season.
That's the beauty of college gymnastics, that we're going to lose very soon. The team mentality, that's the mentality that I grew up in high school, which they don't have anymore. I think there's only like 2 or 3 states in the country that still have high school men's gymnastics.
I think it was a convenient opportunity to do it. Certainly there are financial implications, but our sports were ready to take that part on the chin.
The explanation the University of Minnesota provided was twofold: to save $1.6 million annually and to address, quote, long overdue Title IX compliance issues. Around this time, the University of Iowa, along with William & Mary, cut their men's gymnastics programs as well, leaving just 12 teams remaining.
I think over the years, we've just kind of assumed it would still be here, and we didn't really make plans to deal with, the demise, and it's kind of been going on consistently. Some people will point to Title IX, and I think Title IX is part of the reason.
Title IX is a landmark gender equity law passed in 1972, which banned discrimination on the basis of sex in federally funded education programs.
Well, if you look at the numbers, for women specifically, athletic participation has done nothing but grow. So it has changed the landscape for the better in that way. But I think that it has frequently created less opportunities for certain men's sports.
To determine if a school is in compliance, there is a 3-part test. The first prong is proportionality, which looks to see if a school's athletic program has a proportional ratio of men to women similar to their overall representation in the student body. The University of Minnesota student body is 46% men and 54% women, meaning athletic roster spots and funding should also be split 46% men and 54% women. Prong 2 is growth. If a school has a history of having fewer programs and opportunities for female students, but they can show they are working to expand their female athletic programs, they can be seen as complying with Title IX. The final prong is reflecting the student body interests. If the programs are not equal and they are not currently being expanded, then a school can demonstrate they are compliant by showing they are meeting the interests of the students. A school can survey female students, and if they are satisfied with their current athletic opportunities, then the school is compliant with Title IX.
But compliance, they've repeatedly said, compliance with any one of these prongs is enough to meet compliance with Title IX.
There's a certain number of athletic directors, especially Power 5 conferences, that would love to do what they refer to as the SEC model. And that's 16 sports, the bare minimum you have to be considered a Division I program in the NCAA. And if you look at a lot of those universities, it's 6 or so men's sports and the rest are 10 or so women's sports to make that 16. I feel like that's maybe the goal of the athletic department now. If they could be honest with you and me and not get backlash for saying it, if they're in a room with soundproof walls and they're open in a vein, I think they'd say, man, if I had my choice, I'd have 10 women's sports and 6 men's sports.
It was his senior year. He had convinced a lot of the young guys to come in and be a part of this. So, freshmen that are coming in and all of a sudden their career is like, wait a minute, I just got here and you're going to shut this program down, and you got to be kidding me. And Shane put a lot of that on his shoulders. That was really kind of tough on him.
It was just the worst timing, in my opinion, that they could have made those decisions, and all of a sudden you're faced with these heavy emotions. I mean, I've always said this, kids are like, little those little voodoo dolls. You know, you feel everything that they feel. You go through everything that they're going through.
The gym's closed, and he's got the Olympics coming up, he's got nationals coming up, he's got tryouts coming up, and it's just, how are you going to make this work?
Shane made the difficult decision to train full-time at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center in Colorado with Kostya by his side. He would still compete his senior year and the last year the program would exist by traveling independently to the competitions. The University of Minnesota holds Board of Regents meetings to discuss topics related to the school. Several members from the 3 teams that were cut attended these meetings in an attempt to have a discussion.
It's really inspiring. So thank you both for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could interrupt, I'm sorry for the interruption, but I'd like to have one more alumni voice be able to talk about the university, if that would be appropriate time. It would take just 10 minutes. I think that would find it very exciting.
Yeah, I prefer not to do that, with all due respect, and it was great to meet you and other members of your family and the group who are with you, but we have a very, very, very packed agenda this morning, and so I really want to continue to work my way through that. There will be, we encourage you to reach out to the board's office, and and we'll try at the September meeting, but of all the meetings of the year, this one is really jam-packed, and I prefer not to do that. So with great respect for you and for all the people who are with you, I'm going to decline that request. So thank you. Yeah. All right. And to lead us in that discussion, we have Mary Holtz-Claus.
They didn't bring us together and try to work through it in any way or have a conversation about it. It's like, hey, we're cutting you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
You don't think I care about Title IX? It was never devised to take away from men athletes. It was to give more to women.
They don't even take 5 or 10 minutes to allow a voice. That's not right. It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical.
And in order for a school to comply with Title IX legislature, you only need one of the 3 pillars. And the University of Minnesota's athletic department currently has 2.
After cutting the 3 men's sports, the University of Minnesota quietly cut 41 roster spots in women's sports to fall back into the 46% men to 54% women ratio of compliance. This information was confirmed by UMN officials to the Star Tribune on October 2nd, 2020.
I would think working with instead of against those who would like to continue the level of excellence that we've been providing would be something I'd consider if I was a member of the Board of Regents, but I'll probably never get to that point. How much am I digging a hole here,
I was going to say, we're going to turn it off just so we don't dig any more, just in case.
Since 1966, college gymnastics' highest honor, the Nissen Award, has been presented annually to that year's outstanding senior collegiate gymnast. The Heisman Trophy of Gymnastics, the Nissen-Emery Award, is inscribed with the following motto: "The true champion seeks excellence physically, mentally, socially, and morally." Without further ado, I am going to hand it over to last year's winner, Steven Netarosik.
I am excited to announce this year's 2021 Nissen-Emery Award winner. From the University of Minnesota, Shane Wiskus.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Mom. Was wondering where you went. I don't know if you guys can see this. Sorry, I'll angle it down a little bit. Oh, man. This thing is sweet. Yeah, I'd just like to echo a lot of what I've heard tonight and just, thanking my family and friends and teammates, my girlfriend Lucy, and it truly takes a village. I've been a Gopher all my life. I grew up here. I'm actually in my home right now, 30 minutes west of the university. I was talking to an old teammate, Alex Walther, at Iowa today, and I asked him how many times he thinks he's competed at the PAV, and we couldn't even think about it because, it's been countless times, regional championships, the John Roethlisberger Invitational, so many competitions in that arena, and to have an NCAA's here with my team, and unfortunately a team that was cut this past year, I think Alex Walther's response to that and the fact that it comes full circle is a perfect answer to everything that's going on right now.
What do you think?
I didn't say anything that I wrote down in my speech. Hey, Dad.
So stinking proud of you. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm speechless. I didn't even know what to say when when they gave me the spotlight. I was just choking on words a little bit. But
all right,
yeah, it's a cool thing. It's really cool.
it shouldn't be any question in your life what you do and how good you are. There should be no question. So if you've ever wondered in the past, if you've ever thought, is this just a fluke? If you've ever wondered had any of those questions, yep, that should all be washed away. This is who you are. You are Nissen-Emery winner. You are an unbelievable gymnast.
That's fun.
And I want you to go into that arena this weekend and just kick some ass and love what you do. This is who you are.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay?
thank you.
I know you're getting other calls, so I'll talk to you later, but I love you.
I love you too, Dad.
All right, bye.
Bye. You crying?
Yeah. It's your dad calling me now.
It's so hard to recognize until it's already gone. It's like you're trying to enjoy the moment and you always feel like you are, but there's always like more appreciation that could have been had and more acknowledgement. Like you always just want to go back to that last meet.
Yeah.
Do it again. If there's ever an invader in the house,
Yeah.
this is what I'll throw at them.
If you can lift it.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, Shane, there's not many people that get an opportunity, to have a life that they want to do, and makes all the crap that's going on just
subside.
Yeah. Focus on so many good things.
Yeah.
Take a picture.
Where should I go?
But don't hurt yourself before you compete tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm so proud of you. Good.
Good morning. Let's keep that game face on. Let's stay focused on what you do and what you do best. Let us take care of all of your needs. 43 to 55, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Outstanding job. Should I tell you terminate, terminate, terminate? I feel it's a subjective call. I feel something is about to hurt you. Get yourself upright. Get your wits about you. We'll deconflict. I'll give you the option of continuing your routine or recovering. If I tell you to knock it off, same thing with the exception, I'm going to send you home. You won't be able to continue with your routine.
Yeah, my dad was a huge inspiration in my life. He always told me I could do anything I wanted to as long as I worked at it and tried hard enough. There's nothing to stop you. So I try to pass that on to my kids. I lost him when he was 48 years old. I was, I think, 28, 29, 28. He was way too young.
You're seeing one amazing act after the next. Let's check in with Matt Jolly. What are you watching, Matt?
Well, I'm going to see if I can call Mike. Hey, Mike Wiscus, Matt Jolly. Can you hear me?
In the plane?
Mr. Matt Jolly, how are you?
Oh, cool.
Wow. Hey, bud, I'm doing well. What are you doing?
I'm just hanging on for dear life here. So I come down to 45. Great snap rolls. Here we go.
I have to ask, how do they not get disoriented doing all those flips? I mean, we talked about Simone Biles during the Olympics and the twisties. How does a pilot not get the twisties?
Well, they do.
That was about 7 G's on that pull.
So there's 6 events in men's gymnastics. There's floor exercise, pommel horse, still rings, vault, parallel bars, and high bar. Floor exercise is basically like how many flips and twists can you do in 70 seconds. And then on horse, how can you stay composed? And it's like a true showing of upper body strength and rhythm. And no, it's not my best event. Still rings is kind of like, let's see how strong you are. Vault, you just kind of run at this stationary object and catapult yourself into as many flips and twists as you can. Parallel bars is my personal best event. That's another kind of like swinging event that requires a lot of upper body strength. And then high bar, I would say, is the most exciting event. You're flying like 12, 15 feet above the ground, and there's this steel bar underneath you, and you have to make sure that you catch it after doing all those releases and pirouetting elements and the really high dismount and coming down and just nailing this stick is probably my favorite feeling.
We're starting a very strong event for us, high bar. Some people say that I don't want to start on high bar. We're starting there, okay? And don't be afraid to just go, check it out. Here we go.
Let's get it. Let's get loud.
Hey, go first. Good job, man. I'm proud of you guys.
I had been around the sport my whole life, and I still am in awe. I still watch the Olympic trials, and I watch the NCAA championships, and I'm like, holy cow. I'm glad I don't do this anymore. These guys are crazy.
Here's the dismount.
That's typical John Roethlisberger at his best. He digs down a little deeper, gets fired up for this routine.
I'm very fortunate to go to 3 Olympics, and to represent your country is pretty special, but I wouldn't trade my collegiate experience for that.
Shane is intense. Shane is very intense, and he's intense about being a gymnast. And not just being a gymnast, but being an Olympian.
Like, ever since we started dating, almost 4 years ago, we've talked about the Olympics pretty much once a week, if not more often.
He had hopes of the Olympics when he was 7.
We just finished our first practice of the day. Obviously, just warm up and stretch. Bigger practice this afternoon. Got 3 sets. Did my COVID test this morning. Since the numbers are so high in Colorado, in order to keep training with everyone, on-site and off-site guys, we have to get daily tests, which kind of stinks, but definitely worth getting tested and nose swabbed every day to be able to practice together.
In order for Shane to reach his goal of the Olympics, he would first need to qualify at the Olympic trials. And to get invited to the trials, he would have to perform well at the U.S. Championships.
Shane Wiskus, the man in second after 5 rotations, and it comes down to this on high bar.
He's got a lot of great stuff in this routine. Terry, I think you remember covering him at the 2019 championships. He grabbed the bar with just one hand on one of the release skills and was able to just somehow figure out a way to stay on the bar. Not something you like to do as a gymnast because it can go very, very badly. This is his big release right here. Oh, yeah, and that's a very good decision that he just made right there. Kind of, you ring your bell a little bit. When you do that, your head kind of snaps back, and you have 30 seconds to remount the apparatus after you stand. So he's right there, but just not quite enough rotation. And boy, did you see his head position? He was not looking at the bar at all. I think he thought he was a little bit closer to the bar than he was. He should be seeing it right there, and pretty hard to grab the bar when you can't see it. Do another major release, this one in tucked and nowhere near.
I think I stopped watching after the second fall because it was a little too hard to watch.
I was a little bit like taken back. I was just concerned about him because I know him emotionally.
And I wasn't there. I was at an air show. But I had a group of air show pilots with me. We were all watching at the hotel, and I, I'm all proud of him and watching him, and he hit pretty hard, and he got up and he went again, and he missed it again, and I was like, oh, and I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it anymore. And I actually got up and I told the guys, I'm sorry, I can't watch this, I've got to go. And I went back to the hotel room, and I just prayed. I prayed that he was going to be okay and that he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, I hope he's okay because,
Well, you wonder,
yeah.
You hope, but also even beyond that, what's an experience like this do to you as a gymnast?
Ending a competition like this is one thing, but now having to finish your routine when you are just, your head is a little bit all over the place. It's hard to focus. One fall is one thing. Second fall.
I'm just looking for safety. Gonna go again.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that should do it right there. I would say I would definitely advise him.
Those mats are not really as soft as they seem a fall like that.
Shane was always instinctively, whether it was jumping from a chair to chair or into the pool with his dad, he would know where his limit was. Always. He wasn't one of those kids that went off and did things that he didn't know that he couldn't do, if that makes any sense. Never did I see him do that, even instinctively as a 2-year-old jumping in a pool. And remember those times?
Oh, yeah.
And he just wouldn't. Like if he didn't know that he could do something, he wouldn't do it.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one. After his third fall, it was tremendous thinking process. Are we going to be good enough to sustain ourselves on the level of where we're going to be, or the game is over? And then pretty much as a coach, I must put myself together and start thinking not about the placement or what's going to happen in the future. I have to start thinking, wait a minute, in the moment. I have to be in the moment for the safety, for his safety. And that's what happened in my mind.
Later, one of the guys from one of the teams called me and says, you got to watch it. No, you got to watch this. You got to see what happened.
Seems determined to get back up on the bar.
Come on, Shane. Grab the bar, buddy.
What's the key? Key is repetition, right? Repetition.
There should be no question. So if you've ever wondered in the past, if you've ever thought this is a fluke, if you've ever had any of those questions, that should all be washed away. This is who you are.
I just want him to land safely here.
And he landed that landing. And I watched the whole crowd just go crazy, screaming, cheering for it. It was like, brought back other memories that he doesn't quit, he doesn't give up.
Yes! Woohoo! Way to go, Shane!
He looked like he was okay physically. I was just proud that he didn't give up.
So I was working for NBC at the championships, and I wasn't on the floor. I was in the production truck. So I think mostly I didn't want him to be injured. I was worried about his mental state after it was over. I've been there where something goes really wrong, and it takes you a while mentally to kind of get yourself back together again. And I knew the trials were in a few weeks. I'm like, is he going to be able to put this behind him and mentally focus and hit high bar? Because I knew he had to hit high bar. It was a pivotal event for this team and for him to make the team.
I'm ready whenever. At trials, I had like 3 interviewers in a row ask me about my high bar routine.
I wanted to talk about your incredible high bar routine.
Yeah, Shane, have you gotten any feedback from people? Why did you want to finish the routine?
So I had spent all this time and energy trying to put the pieces back together, trying to make sure my mind was solid and ready to go for, essentially the biggest meet of my life. And 3 interviewers in a row asked me about it and like how it made me feel and what was going on through my head. And these are things that I'm trying to not relive, right? Like these are things I'm trying to push out and ignore until another day to really process it. And I also think, like just in general with interviews, like you have to remember that they are there to get some like headline out of you. And they are there to interview you, and you're not like working for them or anything. So you can kind of steer the conversation a little bit more. And that's something that I didn't know at a young age. When I was first getting interviewed, I thought I had to answer every question, and I thought I was nervous to talk to interviewers, even though like I'm kind of the one in the spotlight. So once I kind of figured out that like I can answer whatever I want to answer, I can talk about whatever I want to talk about, and they're just here to document it, I was like, okay, I can kind of steer this, and it's a little more comfortable now. And that's why at trials I could kind of shut out that, negative aspect of the interview and kind of steer it in a direction that I wanted. It felt good to have all the support, even though it wasn't the routine that I wanted. But my primary focus has been moving on from it since. So if we could avoid questions like about that routine, I'd greatly appreciate it from this point forward.
There's so much pressure at the trials. There's more pressure than the Olympics. It's the birth of your dream.
He was, and emotionally and physically, going through the obstacles. And he knew at the trials he needs to be on a game A. And to be able to come back, not so much physically. Physical aspect is easy, as much as emotional aspect. Because the pressure of the competition was extremely high. Only 4 guys making the team.
And we welcome you just a few blocks from the Mississippi and the arch overlooking it. It is the gateway to the Olympics this week for the best gymnast in America. Been watching Olympic dreams play out nightly, and now the top gymnasts get their opportunity.
Now on high for USO PTC, Shane Wiskus.
Come on, Shane.
I've been seeing a sports psychologist on and off since I was 12. Breaking down my feelings and why I'm feeling certain emotions was a very powerful tool to have in my back pocket. And another thing that we've spent a lot of time on was how to deal with the pressure in competition. The thing to remember is there's never gonna be a competition where you don't feel nerves. Like, even if it's a little competition, you're still gonna feel some sort of nerves. And kind of understanding what your optimum levels are for performance on a scale of 1 to 10, like, what pressure level is best for me to compete in this moment?
All right, Shane Wiskus in first place after the opening 2 rotations. The routine here in St. Louis.
And I'll tell you what, he made a very smart decision, and I'm sure he didn't want to do this, but he took that first major release out where he stays straight body. He does only tucked position. One more major release. So what that means is he's going to have a lower maximum score. But it just, I'm sure, calmed his mind tremendously.
In the past, it would be 5 requirements on each event, which gymnast has to fulfill, and the difficulty cannot go higher than 10-0. So when you capped the difficulty, the rest of the gymnastics it's all about perfection. How clean you could be, how if you can stick or not stick, and that what determines the score. That's why Nadia Kamenechi, her 10-0 is the highest bar in that time, because that was a perfection of the score. That was in the past. Then rules changed. That cap of the difficulty was removed completely, and then more skills that you can throw, and the more difficult they are going to be, then better. And on the top of it, you have to perform them precisely with the cleanest and perfection as much as you possibly can to score the highest. So now in the modern gymnastics, the start difficulty is a lot harder than it used to be, and it increased tremendously the risk of the sport and difficulty. A lot of spectators, they just don't understand. Oh, is gymnast perform 3 twists or 2 twists or 4 twists? Because they're so fast. From the professional eye, we can capture it right away. But from the regular spectators, people cannot even see it. That's how fast it happens. I think that's why we're losing a lot of spectators, regular spectators.
The product and how you present it and the rules and how the scoring works, it starts to go down a rabbit hole that a lot of people don't want to invest in to figure it out. And you look on TV and you'll flip to ESPN, there's more cornhole on TV than there is men's gymnastics. I don't think anybody's going to debate the level of athleticism from a gymnast to someone playing cornhole. But cornhole it's like a bag of popcorn. It's easy to open and just consume it, and you can move on.
The difficulty of the sport increased, complications of the rules increased, and sometimes gymnasts could perform very clean, nice routine and score very low, where another gymnast could go off the chart difficulty and fail and still win. And you as a regular spectator will say, wait a minute, did that guy just did very clean, nice routine, and why he scored so low, where that guy just fell and he won? Which is logically makes no sense, but that's the modern gymnastics right now.
There you go.
Yes! Yes!
I didn't breathe.
It was pretty
didn't
emotional.
breathe.
Of course, that's what you're going to think. You're going to think, okay, well, here comes the high bar, and just a few weeks before that, there was this, big issue with his fall. How is he going to take it? Is he going to let that do a mental block? And when you watched him hit that and catch that first one, go around and do it again and catch the second one, and the third one after that, it was just like, okay.
And at that point, Shane, when he started competing, he was focused. He was immediately right there. His game it was happening. That's why hit after hit, stick after stick.
That one right there, money. Triple twist. Oh, baby. Wow, he looks like, well, he looks the best I've seen him, to be perfectly honest.
Let's go.
22-year-old from Spring Park, Minnesota, Shane Wiskus.
Same ball we saw from Sam Mikulak, and that was really, really good.
And then when they announced his name, it was a big emotional relief. I felt like my body and emotions just lifted me to the roof. I was so happy for him, because I know how much he dreamed about it and how long it's been.
Please welcome the 4 team members of the 2020 Tokyo Olympic team. Brody Malone, Yul Mollauer,
Sam Mikulak,
and Shane Wiskus.
Let's hear it one more time for your team, USA!
So there you have those who will represent the U.S. at the Olympics in Tokyo.
I'm here. Look behind the floor. Look, Shane, by the floor.
Go down there.
I told him briefly on the floor after he made the team, as I said, dude, enjoy this for 24 hours and then reset your mind and go to the Olympics the same way you went to championships and you went to trials.
You might go to Olympics. It might be your one shot, because who knows, the next year, one injury, you're out of the game forever.
What's it like coaching at the Olympics?
Unbelievable experience. Being just the present over there on the floor sometimes hits you so hard emotionally that, wait a minute, this is Olympic Games.
Still feel like it's not that real. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's because we weren't allowed to be there.
U.S. men's team was unable to bring home any hardware. The team placed a somewhat disappointing 5th, yet this was kind of expected. The U.S. men's gymnastics team has only won a single Olympic gold medal as a team in the past 118 years. That one time was in Los Angeles, 1984, the year the Soviet Union boycotted in retaliation for the U.S. not competing in Moscow 4 years earlier. Russia, China, and Japan have traded off winning the gold medal almost every time the Olympics come around. The US performed very clean routines in Tokyo, but the big reward for throwing higher difficulty skills is the main reason other countries continue to pull ahead. Nearly all US Olympic men's gymnasts come from the NCAA, and with so few opportunities to train at this higher level, the pool the US has to choose from is no match compared to many other countries. I reached out to the University of Minnesota's athletic department for an interview in connection with this film to share their side of the story. They declined my request.
This is my favorite song. That's great.
I wanted our university to say, you know what? Yeah, okay, we can't keep all these varsity sports, but let's work with these varsity sports, and let's work with our university, and let's work with the NCAA and say, hey, this is not just a Minnesota problem, it's a nationwide problem, and it's not a 2020 problem, it's a long-term problem.
In 2021, 2 new men's gymnastics programs were added at other universities, being the first time a program has been created in over 60 years. The College of William and Mary reinstated all of the sports they cut after protests from students, professors, and alumni. The University of Minnesota is yet to reconsider bringing back the sports they cut, even after recouping most of the money they expected to lose from COVID. One of Shane's teammates, who was just a freshman when the program was cut, has filed a lawsuit against the university. He claims the sport was cut based on a misguided, unlawful, and unconstitutional attempt to comply with Title IX.
Eng's attorney alleges the U cut the program because Title IX requires an equal number of men and women athletes. They are suing because they believe Eng is no longer a college athlete because of his sex.
It violates the United States Constitution's Equal Protection Clause, which prohibits governments like state universities from making sex-based decisions.
This case is ongoing. Does Shane have plans for more Olympic runs?
2024!
And 2028.
As long as he stays healthy. And as long as he continues to enjoy it, I'm all in. You know, I'm all in for support as far as a parent.
He thought about taking a month off after the Olympics, and he was going to, take a little time and relax. And now we're finding out that, I think he's going to be back in the gym. Yeah, that's Shane.
We need to win a medal. We need to win, or people are going to forget about us.
I think in the end of the day, the most important part is just your willingness to be wrong, your willingness to fail and get back up. I mean, I can name at least 5 different times where I wanted to quit. And if you're willing to get back up and keep trying, and you're willing to fail again and again and again, then you might be able to make it past some of those layers that otherwise would filter out the rest of the competition.